Hello, hello. Hello, good evening. Yes, it is Friday, and I have information to share with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for hitting the share button. Thank you so much for all the blessings. Thank you so much. For those of you that don't know, my name is Will Johnson. I have a website called UniteAmericaFirst.com. UniteAmericaFirst.com. See, I believe we should be helping other people in other nations, but we need to help America first. You got to take care of your home first, right? We have to take care of our home first. And if we can't take care of our home, how are we expected to take care of someone else's home? Doesn't make sense to me, but you have those on the left, they want to put America last, as they always do. It's not even a secret any longer how they feel about America. But we all need to remember who did what. We need to remember. Now, I'm not saying we need to remember to be mean or, vindictive, not like the left. I'm saying we need to remember when it comes time to support or not support these people. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about being violent. Just, again, I'm not like the left. And they get upset with me because I don't want to be violent like them. I mean, I don't. Now, there's some people that want to be violent, but, it is what it is. But we don't need to be. We need to remember. We need to pay attention to what's going on. Okay, let's just get right into it. Y'all know who this young lady is? Congresswoman Boebert. Listen to what she says here. Because after she said this, after she did this video, I went out there and I was actually looking for the information. They're keeping it under the wraps. Maybe you've seen information on it and I just missed it. That's quite possible. It happens all the time. But listen to what she says that the House Democrats are doing. Listen to what she says they're doing. They did that. This was from today. Listen to what she says, because this is really important. It goes out, and I've never had a conversation with her. And it goes right along with all the stuff that I've been saying that the Democrats or the Democrats been wanting to do to this nation. And not just me, but multiple other people. Listen to what she says.
Hey everyone, we have an emergency happening here at the Capitol right now. As I speak, House Democrats are whipping votes to try and pass a ban on so-called assault rifles, when they're actually attempting to ban guns that are in common use by millions and millions of Americans. I need you to call your congressman, call your senator, and tell them exactly what I told Robert Francis O'Rourke. Hell no, you're not taking our guns. You will not disarm us. If your government doesn't trust you to own a gun, you sure as heck should not trust your government. Right now is the time to make your voices heard.
So, beautiful smile. You can't get past that smile. But the thing is, they're literally doing this, right? And I've said this multiple times, that the Democrats don't care about the Constitution. They hate the Constitution. They believe the Constitution is an out-of-date document, or it needs to be revised, right? And then they try to reel black people in there about the Constitution, saying the Constitution is not for you as a black person because you're 3/5 of a man. That is one of the biggest lies that the Democrats have ever told. One of the biggest lies. They told multiple other lies because they don't care. They don't care. Just like another example. Have y'all ever heard of this organization? And I consider it a domestic terrorist organization known as BLM and Antifa. Have you ever heard of them? They're literally a anti-American, anti-God organization. They hate freedoms. They hate the freedoms that we have. They want to be able to dictate how people should think and how people should live their lives. Well, Ted Cruz was actually talking to an ex-police officer, which, you take the oath. In my opinion, you're always a police officer. You're just kind of pretty much like on standby. But Ted Cruz was talking to an ex-police officer and talking about the shootings that took place in Dallas, Texas, when BLM under Obama. You remember? Do y'all remember that? Because what I remember is after that happened, remember Obama, he lit up the White House with the sodomite colors, right after they did the whole thing with the Supreme Court sodomy, they lit up the White House in the sodomite colors. And then this shooting took place in Dallas, Texas, where this BLM member was killing police officers. And then they tried to turn around and say, well, he wasn't part of BLM. Total lies. Total lies. He was part of BLM. And they tried to deny it. But anyways, Obama refused to. People ask if Obama would light up the White House in blue to represent the police officers that were shot by this BLM member. Obama refused to do it. But I wanted to, for those of y'all that haven't seen this, listen to this interaction with Ted Cruz and this ex-police officer. And I can only imagine right now, if there are any trolls on here currently of the live for this broadcast, listening or watching, I can only imagine that you're probably going to be completely butthurt by this police officer. Listen to this.
Sergeant Penny, share for this committee what the effect of the rhetoric directed at police officers has been to the men and women in the field, to the men and women risking their lives to keep us safe.
It's been demoralizing for our officers in the field, the officers that's trying to work hard to keep us safe. We just got to go back to the July 7, 2016 shooting attack and look at how the rise of anti-police sentiment was being used to incite violence against police. That actually radicalized an individual to come into downtown Dallas to shoot multiple people and kill 5 police officers. And those of you that have never seen a shooting before, it's even worse to imagine the carnage that happened on that day. To see the officers coming into the hospital and being wheeled in over and over again, one after the other. And Senator, you were there. America needs to understand that these are real lives. Officers are people too. They're here to do a difficult job, and they just want to go home to their families. But we cannot allow this irresponsible rhetoric that's being used to proliferate radical messages online to incite violence against police, because individuals are taking up arms and actually carrying out those attacks. So I encourage everyone, Senator, to be responsible, especially our leaders for this country. Be responsible in what they're putting out online, because it's endangering our lives.
And right before I played this, I said any of the trolls that get on here, they're probably going to have words about him. They're not going to like what he just said. And everything he said was true, right? And they're not going to like him. They're probably going to call him these colorful names like they normally do, because here it is a black police officer speaking the truth, saying that, well, like, for example, like Kamala Harris and the rest of them, when they were bailing out these thugs, these Antifa thugs and BLM, when they were burning up stuff in the summer of love of 2020. Right? All that took place. But for some reason, the left, even the liberal media, they all ignore this. They all ignore the fact that you had Antifa and BLM. And you know why they ignore it? Because Antifa and BLM, for those of you that don't know, they are the long arm, they're the strong arm, the foot soldiers for the Democrat Party. They're no difference than the brown shirts in Nazi Germany, Antifa, and the black shirts in France, BLM. There's no difference. It's just a different time. And they say they have a different message, but it's the same message, same concept. They want to go in and intimidate people from believing and supporting what they want to on their own free will. That's their whole MO. That's what they've been doing, and that's what they're going to continue to do. Here's another one with Ted Cruz talking about how you have the leaders in the country encouraging thugs like Antifa and the rest of them to be violent, and nothing happens to them. I was just talking about this a couple weeks ago. They constantly bring in people to tear up stuff, and then the media and all of it just look the other way. Remember, like, it's mostly peaceful when everything's burning up on fire. Listen to this one with Ted Cruz.
Instance, the gunman told police negotiators, quote, he was upset about Black Lives Matter, and, quote, he was upset about the recent police shootings, and that he was upset at white people. The suspect stated he wanted to kill white people, especially white officers. That vicious rhetoric, the false lies. We had a Biden judicial nominee testify, sitting at that table you're at, that police officers shoot unarmed black men in America every single week. It's a flat-out lie. It's completely false, and yet the Senate Judiciary Committee was the vehicle for spreading that lie. It's harmful. It's harmful when politicians throw gas on the fire, and it's particularly harmful when the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, bails out of jail violent Black Lives Matter and Antifa rioters siding with the criminals instead of the cops.
Instead of the cops. They straight up, they sided with the criminals instead of the police officers, and they've done that multiple times. I mean, that is actually the norm. Every single time you have a thug that happens to be black, the left, the Democrats, they all side with them. Even the liberal media, they all side with the thug. We see that constantly. And, they don't like me saying it. They don't like hearing it from me. See, I wasn't raised to be a thug. I was raised to put a belt on and pull my pants up and not have my pants around my ankles. I was raised to treat people the way I wanted to be treated. I was raised to respect my elders. I was raised to respect authority. To the police officers, I was raised that way. I was raised to recognize that I'm in a world that everyone is not like me. And I was raised in a world that everyone has their own point of view. That's why I was raised. And at the same time, I was raised as a Democrat. And I hate to say that, right? I was raised as a Democrat. But my parents taught me, they always said that no matter what, you are just the same as everybody else. Right? They always raised me that way. And then when I got older, and then I realized that, the Democrats aren't actually like that. They're not actually like that. They have all of this tension, and most Democrats, they live in the past. They live in the past as if white people are still oppressing black people, when it's actually, in actuality, if you want to talk about someone oppressing somebody, it's actually white liberals oppressing black people. Just look at, for example, on the socialist media outlets. They have on I'm not going to go into complete details on it, but if you go out there, if you ever want to look, I just happen to stumble across it because they're always constantly talking about black people, the black voice. Have you ever seen that? Right? The social media, YouTube, Facebook, and I'm pretty sure Twitter has it too, but they have this thing called the black voice. But you have to be the right type of black voice. I remember YouTube had a program, and they sent it out, and if you have a black voice, you can apply, and then YouTube will elevate your voice. And I said, okay, let's just test this out. So I filled it out. Oh, let me fill it out. I filled it out, and then crickets, nothing. But then, of course, they have multiple black people that they've selected, and every last one of them have the victim mentality. How does that happen? Every last one of them have the victim mentality. So I'm the wrong type of black voice. Same thing on Facebook. They have a black voice on Facebook. They have a black voice for trans. It's unbelievable. But they have it on there. But black voices like mine, oh no, we got to suppress his voice because he's not the right type. Just like they suppress white people because you're not the right type of white person. See, when they talk about, black voices, it's not, they don't only suppress black voices like mine. They suppress white voices like yours. They suppress voices they disagree with. And color really has nothing to do with it, but they interject color in everything, right? They do it. That's the only reason I'm talking about it. That's the only reason. And when you have Antifa and BLM doing the work of the Democrat Party, then they try to act like that's a peaceful organization, right? And then they demonize the other organizations, called the other organizations domestic terrorists. They actually put them on a list of being domestic terrorists when all they're doing is fighting against a tyrannical government. They're actually a militia groups. They've actually labeled militia groups in the United States of America as domestic terrorists. That's exactly what they've done. But the actual terrorist groups that they leave them alone. Antifa, BLM. Antifa, BLM. And then they want to talk about all of these other major crises that we have, like, what pronoun you are. I mean, really? what color pantsuit you have on. Like, this is the major issue that we really need to be discussing. One of the things that we really need to be discussing, and is still happening right now at an alarming rate, is our southern border. So on top of the recession that they don't want to acknowledge because they created it, so they want to change the definition of it. I've already drilled on about that. So instead of them doing stuff to keep America on track, like President Trump was doing, they making America last. And the same thing when it comes to our southern border. Our southern border, listen to this. They're talking about ID cards, giving ID cards to illegals, right? And then they're going to take these ID cards and, go to various states like California and other states. And then guess what? All they're going to do is say, oh, you have an ID that you got from when you were on the border. Here, you can even vote. That's what's going to happen. And that's the idea what the Democrats are wanting to do. They've been wanting to do this. Listen.
Look at these ID cards, and when ICE is saying that it's going to help immigration officials. Look, I'm an immigration official. I can tell you, I do not know how an ID card will help me do my job better or more effectively. What I do know is that there are going to be obvious benefits to illegal immigrants. If they're released into the United States with these ID cards, they can then go into the states and they can use those ID cards, the states that will give them driver's licenses. They will ultimately use that as an ID for verification. It will also allow them to report to CIS, Citizens Immigration Service, which will then facilitate their work permits. Again, not helping enforcement, but it is a definite benefit to these illegal immigrants. And the problem with that is that's just another magnet. That's just another invitation to violate our laws. This is going to be something that the cartels are going to use to advertise their services throughout the world, saying, now, look, you're even going to get an ID card that is going to facilitate a lot of these different things that you can potentially get in the United States. It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. But you know what? This is part of the agenda. This is a part of what they've been wanting to do. This is part of what they've been calling for. This is what they want. They want the invasion of the United States of America. They want the collapse of the United States of America. They're on the verge of trying to destroy the United States of America. And just like I was brought up the recession, we're in the second quarter of, what did they say, 2 consecutive quarters of the everything going down will be considered a recession. What happened when it hits the third time? I mean, I'm just kind of curious. I don't know. I've never, before I started doing videos and started looking at the politics and everything, I didn't even pay attention to any of this. So I don't know. So I'm just kind of curious. Has anyone else ever seen the United States of America go into a third quarter of a recession, a third quarter? And what happens when we hit the third quarter? Right? What happens when we hit the fourth quarter? Because the way it stands, if the Biden administration and the Democrats continue down the path that we're on right now, we're not going to come out of this recession. We're not going to if they continue doing what they're doing. They're spending hundreds of billions of dollars. And where's it coming from? They're squeezing it out of you and I. They're squeezing it out of us. And again, the border crisis, the border issue is still a major problem. And they're trying to ignore it completely. Listen to this one.
As we continue this camera, this live shot, this sole individual standing towards the middle of the river, trying to decide whether or not to come or go. And the backdrop here are these enormous amounts of money in drugs that the cartels are pushing across our border.
Yeah, this is a great business model for them. Will move people or they'll move drugs. They are what some people have called commodity agnostic. They're all in the money-making business, and they're getting rich because the Biden administration is doing nothing to stop or deter illegal immigration. And the cartels have figured out if you flood the zone with people, that will divert Border Patrol from policing and stopping these drugs coming across the border that have caused the death of 108,000 Americans last year alone.
You know what? That's 100% true. Because every time I go down to the border, when they get a group of people coming in, they get 50, 60, even 100 people at one time. And then they get all the Border Patrol agents to go to that one location, while all of the Border Patrols, because they're already running thin as it is, they get all of them to go to that one location. And then the drug cartel, that's when they move drugs at the other locations. they're bringing so much fentanyl into our nation is actually destroying the lives of families because it's taking the lives of our children. And the Democrats, they seem to want to look the other way with all of this.
Because of drug overdoses. But it's worse because the network in the United States for distributing these drugs are criminal street gangs that are responsible for most of the gun violence and crime that we're seeing spiking at the present time. The Secretary of Homeland Security said the border is secure. He needs to get 4 or 5 Pinocchios for that one. But he just turns a blind eye at the drugs being imported, which, again, are making the drug cartels and these transnational criminal organizations rich while causing nothing but heartache and misery to people on this side of the border.
So we talk about the children that are coming across, and this is something I know you feel strongly about. Your colleague, Senator Cruz, feels very strongly about it. And I don't think it's a story that gets enough attention because we talk about the unaccompanied minors, but many of them are young men and young women who are basically sold into slavery, either to gangs or to human trafficking and prostitution. So they end up somewhere. They have no idea where they are. The cartels are in charge of their lives until they can get away. Here's what Senator Cruz said.
The teenage girls experience a hell worse than that, with far too many of them human trafficked into sex slavery.
And it's so disgusting. And this is actually happening. And I've talked about this so much. You know, my buddy Ben Bergquam, he has his show called Law and Border. He goes into great detail with all of this, more detail than what Fox News has ever shown. And this is happening even right now during the live of this broadcast. There's people crossing right now. Every single day when we're thinking about something else, when we go to work or we're watching the TV, watching a movie, doing whatever it is, there's people crossing right now, women and children. When it's blazing hot, like for example, today was hot. I mean, it was just muggy and hot here in the state of Texas. The border is even worse. All this is happening on the southern border of Texas. And guess what? People are crossing in the heat of the day. It's ridiculous. People are falling out. People are dying. And what does the left do? Let me show you. This is what the left is saying about this now. Because there's so much attention happening on the border and they've been ignoring it so much. Now the Biden administration is wanting to build a wall in Arizona. They wanted to complete a wall in Arizona. But why do you think they want to complete the wall in Arizona? And do you think that they're calling it completion? What do you think they're saying about the wall in Arizona? Listen to this.
If walls work in that part of Arizona, is this the administration trying to get migrants to cross somewhere else, like in Texas? What is the plan?
Let me stop it real quick before she responds. And y'all pay attention to what she responds, because think about it. D.C. is complaining. And this is the only reason why they're talking about anything with the border now, because D.C. and New York, both blue states, complaining about all of the illegal immigrants being shipped to their states and cities. That's what they're complaining about now, right? To the New York City and D.C., both their cities. And they're complaining about it. And that's the only reason why they're talking about it. So now, listen, all of a sudden, now they want to, you can't make it up. Listen.
We are not finishing a wall.
You see that? We are not finishing a wall, right? They're not finishing a wall. They're getting ready to push blame about what's happening.
We are not finishing a wall. We are cleaning up the mess that the prior administration made. We are trying to save lives.
What? We're cleaning up the mess from the... Listen to that. Listen to that. I'm telling you, that's why I say you can't make this stuff up. Listen.
We are not finishing a wall. We are cleaning up the mess that the prior administration made.
We're cleaning up the mess the prior administration made. What in the world? What in the world? Cleaning up the mess. What? Again, like I keep telling you, you can't make this up.
The mess that the prior administration made. We are trying to save lives. This is what the prior administration left behind that we are now cleaning up.
Oh my goodness. You hear, I mean, come on. Come on. And see, I'm gonna be nice here because I wanna say something about it that's not really pleasant because I really don't have nothing nice to say about her. But this, for her to actually say that, when the trafficking, the drug trafficking, the sex trafficking, pretty much 90% of it came to a halt, and then they came into play, and it went past 100 and went to 1,000% of all the sex trafficking coming in, and the drugs, the fentanyl, the illegals, the crime, the terrorists. And she have the nerve, the audacity to sit there and say that she's cleaning up the mess from the prior administration. Are you kidding me? What? I'm like, this can't be real. No, it's only a 25-second clip. Let me listen to it one more time. Maybe I heard it wrong.
If walls work in that part of Arizona, is this the administration trying to get migrants to cross somewhere else, like in Texas? What is the plan?
We are not finishing a wall. We are cleaning up the mess that the prior administration made. We are trying to save lives. This is what the prior administration left behind that we are now cleaning up.
Wow. You know what? This is exactly where I constantly talk about people with the reprobate mind. She's lying right there, completely lying, knowing good and well that she is lying. And she doesn't care that people know that she's lying, cleaning up the mess from the prior administration. The crisis that we have in America on the southern border is because of them. The crisis we have in America when it comes to the energy is because of them. The food crisis that we have in America is because of them. The recession that we are in after 2 consecutive quarters is because of them. You need to remember who did this. You need to remember. And see, the reason why I say you need to remember, because ever since I've been doing these videos and I've been paying attention, looking at this stuff, I see people, they go on and then they forget who did what. I'm telling you. And I'm like, where you been? And I don't understand. Now that I don't understand. You even have conservatives that were like, well, we need to be, shoot for a bipartisan. The Democrats aren't going to. They're not going to. But the Republicans, there's some Republicans saying we need to be bipartisan. Did y'all know that some of the Rhino Republicans, I'm calling them Rhino Republicans, because they're saying they don't want to have anything to do with the MAGA Republicans. Oh, no, nothing with the MAGA Republicans. They're saying this. So they have teamed up with some anti-American Democrats. And then they're trying to create a new party, and it's called Move Forward. Right? It's like Forward is the new party that they're wanting to create. And they say, yeah, we need to do this because no one wants to be a part of the MAGA Republican Party. The same party with President Trump, where our 401ks was looking better, where people were working like never before without having to add something to, for jobs to return, right? Where Latinos and black people, women were starting businesses, the world respected us. They don't want to go back to that. They want to continue down the path that we're on right now. And the path that we're on right now is them destroying this nation. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to destroy this nation. Here, I have another one from this person. Listen.
So the White House's preference would be for small towns in Texas and Arizona to have to take care of these migrants rather than a large metropolitan city like Washington, D.C.
That is not what I said.
That is what you said.
No,
You said you think that
I
people
said
are
that
using
there is.
migrants.
Yeah, they are. They're sending migrants to big cities on purpose, using them as a political ploy.
So if they don't go to big cities, where should they
There's
go?
a process. I just laid it out.
There's a process. And they come to a big city, and now the mayor says she's the National Guard.
That's because Republicans are using migrants who are coming here for who knows, because they're dealing with humanitarian issues back in their country. They're coming here for a better life, and they are being used Peter. They're being used by Republican governors. That is what's happening.
Does any of this just make the president want to say this is causing a lot of burdens on small cities, big cities? Maybe I should just close the border.
What I'm saying is what Republicans are doing is wrong, and there is a process in place, and we should follow the process. There's a legal process in place, and they.
Again, like I told y'all, the only reason why they're even addressing the issue now is because what the governor of Arizona did, the governor of Texas did by shipping these people to cities like New York and cities like D.C. Now, all of a sudden, it's becoming a problem. Now it's becoming a problem. And she's going to have the nerve, the audacity to sit there and say that it's Republicans using this as a political means. Y'all could have stopped it from the get-go. Y'all didn't have to open up the border. It would never have gotten to this position in the first place. But see, they don't think about stuff like that. The Democrats, they constantly do stuff expecting people not to pay attention that they were the ones who did it. That's what they constantly do. I see it over and over and over again. This is the path the Democrats, they go on. They go on that same path every single time. It's nothing new, everybody. That's why I'm trying to tell y'all, do not forget the way they're doing children. That was another thing. The CRT, do not forget. They would love for all of us to forget right now about what they've done to every last one of us, and we cannot forget. Just like we cannot forget what the FBI has done. And I've mentioned this multiple times, and every time I bring this story up, I talk about how when I was a young kid, that, man, it would be really cool to be in the FBI. I'm willing to bet there's men and women out there right now. When you were younger, you thought it'd probably be cool to be in the FBI. Both men and women, right? Because, we look at it, we see different TV shows and stuff like that, and we're like, man, that's, it's interesting. They get into it. They're trying to do the right thing. But apparently, it looks like from the surface out, except for the whistleblowers in the FBI, the rest of the ones in the FBI that actually have control of everything, they believe actually doing the right thing is only meant for the big screen, for on some sitcom or something like that. Listen to this report here.
Fox News Digital reporting that Biden met with at least 14 of Hunter's business associates while he was vice president. Now, the New York Post taking aim with today's front page. The paper reports that Hunter's business partner referred to President Biden as, quote, the big guy. Griff Jenkins live in Washington with the details. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Dana. The identity of the big guy has been the subject of much speculation as part of the ongoing grand jury probe into Hunter Biden's dealings. Now, according to the New York Post, one of Hunter's business partners, named James Gilliar, appears to have referred to Joe Biden as the big guy in a message on the same day the Post broke the news of the infamous laptop left behind by the president's son. Now, this comes as a Fox News Digital review shows at least 14 of Hunter Biden's business associates met with then Vice President Biden, ranging from Mexican billionaires to a former Colombian president to Ukrainian and Russian energy executives. Yet Biden consistently denies it.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
Meanwhile, the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee says multiple FBI whistleblowers allege senior FBI and DOJ officials tampered with politically sensitive investigations across multiple election cycles, including queries into Hunter Biden's dealings. Grassley had this to say to you guys yesterday.
They wanted to characterize it as disinformation, and they shut that investigation down. Now, this is hurting the credibility of the FBI. People ought to have ultimate confidence in the FBI.
And as a result, now Grassley and Senator Ron Johnson are demanding the DOJ open an internal investigation or appoint a special counsel. The DOJ has declined to comment.
So it brings the question to me is how come the DOJ hasn't already done it? Why should they even have to ask the DOJ to even do this? Right? Why should they have to? If they see whistleblowers coming out of the FBI talking about the Hunter Biden laptop, the DOJ should be like, what's going on here? What is wrong with this picture? Department of Defense, right? What are they doing? Is the federal government that corrupt? Is it? What are they doing? Why is this happening like this? And then, of course, you know, when the Hunter Biden laptop first came out, you had big tech working with the FBI, apparently, and working with the federal government to hide it. Those that were in the federal government, because they were undermining President Trump. President Trump knew about it. They all knew about it. But they were penalizing people for telling the truth about it. Just like right now, they still don't want you to know about it. Well, I take it back. I take that one back. They kind of do want you to know about it now, because remember, even the Washington Post came out and talked about it, and they're completely leftist, right? And now all of a sudden it's okay for you to talk about it. So the fake fact checkers that were telling the social media platforms, because the fake fact checkers work as a third party resource, third party independent party, telling us that you did something wrong. So now we're going to penalize you based on the information from the third party fake checker. Right? So they penalize us. But actually, in actuality, it was all true. But that doesn't matter. The fake fact checkers, they're still going to do what they're going to do. And the tech companies are going to go right along with it, because they have people from the federal government telling the big tech companies how to censor and what to censor on. There's stuff that they're telling the big tech companies to censor people on that they do not want anybody to talk about. So again, the federal government, just like the Second Amendment, how they're undermining the U.S. Constitution, they have been undermining the First Amendment. The federal government has been using big tech as a proxy to hinder and censor people from saying what they wanted to say. That's a total violation of the U.S. Constitution. Listen to the press secretary as she denies the Hunter Biden laptop.
Also, relatedly, the China call, online business records suggest that the First Son still holds a 10% stake in a Chinese investment fund. Is it possible to have basic transparency there on whether he actually divested that stake or not?
So your last questions, I would refer you to his representatives. That's not something that I can speak about from here at the podium.
Really? It's a national security threat. 100%. Just like they're trying to change what it is to be, for in a recession, because if President Trump was there and we were 2 consecutive quarters like this, the entire left is saying this is a recession. He took us into a recession. He took us into a recession. That's what the Biden administration did. But in this case, Hunter Biden, if it was Trump Jr., they would say this is a national security threat. They would say we need an investigation, but they're all looking the other way. And they're looking the other way because they all were complicit with it. They all helped it happen. They all helped keep it under the wraps. They all were coming out talking about this was Russian disinformation, which was total lies. And not any of them retracted it. Not a single time had they come back and say, you know what, we got it wrong. It was not Russian disinformation. It was an actual laptop, and all this data, this incriminating data, this damaging data, this national security data was on the laptop. We apologize for saying it was Russia. Russia. They're not going to do that, right? Because they've already put the damaging information out there. They've already put the actual disinformation out on the web. And then guess what? At that point, no one cares, especially those on the left. No one cares. Oh, no, what are you talking about? It's just more Russian propaganda, because they don't ever hear the truth. And that's how they do it. They get the lie and they tell the lie to the masses first. And then when they get the masses to hear the lie, then when the truth comes along, that's when they go, well, we just won't even acknowledge it. We won't even say anything. We'll just talk about the next story. They do it all the time. Now, this one from Fox News kind of really got me. Now, this is about the monkeypox. It's already been proven. The CDC has talked about where the monkeypox is really originating from, where it's actually being spread the most, right? Not to say that it doesn't happen in the heterosexual locations, but they said it's really rampant in the homosexual community. That's what the CDC is saying. Even the WHO is saying it. They're even saying that's where it's coming from. So when someone goes on Fox News and blatantly tells the truth, and then you have Fox News defending the sodomy community, because they are okay with it. And listen to this clip. For everyone, they in the House, they passed, right, trying to codify sodomy, same-sex sodomy in Congress because they're afraid that the U.S. Congress is going to, U.S. Supreme Court is going to say it needs to go back to the states. They're afraid of that taking place with sodomy. So the Supreme Court, the Congress, the House at least, they passed it trying to codify it. And I'm not sure if it's gone. I don't think it's gone over to the Senate as of yet. But once you listen to this, because this is on Fox News, there's only one, only one man, the man that's in between the two women. He's on here for the right reasons. The rest of them, if you turn away and listen, you would, I swear, you would probably be thinking you're listening to MSDNC or a Communist News Network. This is why they're going to pass it in the Senate, because you have Republicans or so-called people that call themselves Republicans that think like this. And again, this was on Fox.
As for monkeypox, I think there's a pretty good rule in life. Don't attend gay orgies. When you look at the New England Journal's report of the 528 cases they reviewed.
Ned, come on, man.
It's not about gay. How about not any orgies?
It's not about gay. You hear him? Yes, it actually is. It's not about gay. It actually is. Again, they report 95% of it is coming out of the sodomy community. That's what they're reporting on. The CDC. Then I guess the fake fact checkers need to go to the CDC and get them to change the information, just like Google did with the recession. Maybe that's what they need to do, right? But as of right now, that's what they're reporting. Majority of this pox is coming out of their community. You can't make it up, and it's not gay.
As for monkeypox, I think there's a pretty good rule in life. Don't attend gay orgies. When you look at the New England Journal's report of the 528 cases they reviewed.
Ned, come on, man.
It's not about gay. How about not any orgies?
Go look at the New England Journal's report that NBC News reported on Friday, in which of the 528 cases they reviewed, 95% were sex between men. I think we actually have to have a serious conversation about where this is coming from. When I'm done, Brad, you can talk. Instead of going crazy and declaring a national pandemic when 3,000 people have it right now, it's insane.
Exactly. It's like, because this is happening in the sodomy community that, oh my goodness, everyone needs to stop. Everyone needs to stop. Because this is about everybody. No, it's not. It's about people going against God's word openly. That's what it's about. It's about people sinning. And I know some people go, well, that's not sinning. According to God's word, it is. And you know what? I'm going to trust God's word and not you. And if you don't want to trust God's word, that's up to you. I'm not going to force it down your throat. You're going to have to stand before God one day, just like me.
I don't know, man. You don't have to be gay to get monkeypox.
Now, you don't listen, which is a true statement. Because if two gay dudes and then one of the gay dudes go with someone else who's a heterosexual woman, and then she goes and she has sex with another male, and then it just goes on. It just spreads on that way, right? So that's true. But listen to what she says. And she's a Fox News host. She's supposedly not the liberal. I mean, my goodness, people, if y'all think that these people, Christianity is not going to be under attack, under fire, stuff like this is going to lead to it. Listen to what she says here. Let me take it back just a little bit, because you need to hear what she says. Listen.
I don't know, man. You don't have to be gay to get monkeypox, and you don't have to be bigoted when you talk about treating something that...
You hear this? You don't have to be bigoted? What? This has nothing to do with bigotry. Nothing. See, they do this every single time. People who support sodomy, they automatically come out when you say something that's factual. What he said was 100% factual. That's not bigotry. When did truth become bigotry? When did truth become racist? When did truth become wrong? Well, in the Bible, it says what was once considered good would be considered evil. And what was considered evil will now be considered good. This is what's happening. She literally calling him, saying he's a bigot because he's telling the truth. And he actually put the statistics out there. It is 95%. It is 95%.
Gay to get monkeypox, and you don't have to be bigoted when you talk about treating something that is that easily spread. Marie?
It's not bigoted.
Yeah, it is.
This is science, Kennedy. 95% of the cases from the New England Journal.
You know what? I'm going to let Brad respond. Okay, I'm going to let Brad respond because
I mean, isn't that like a liberal? I'm going to let Brad decide. I mean, come on. What am I missing here? This is the same reason why the Republicans in the Senate are going to pass this demonic thing. They did it when Obama was in the House through the Supreme Court, and they're going to do it in the Senate. I'm telling you right now, I want to be wrong. Please allow Will to be wrong. But the same mentality that these people call themselves Republican, here on Fox News they're doing it, the same mentality, there's Republicans in the Senate that got the same way of thinking, because we are living in the last days. We are seeing people turn away from God more than ever, even people who call themselves on the right, because majority of the people on the right, for the most part, believe in God because they're conservative Christians. But this is what's happening in our world today.
Brad, we had 372 doses. The United States, in Denmark, where the smallpox, monkeypox vaccine is manufactured, they were ready to go. But because this has been an issue for more men in the gay community, it seems like it has been lower on the priority list.
And you see this? Lower on the priority list. Why? Because you're talking about a small minority of people in America. Right? Not everyone lives that lifestyle. There's a lot of people on the left that don't even live the lifestyle, but they support it. But you have people on the right that support it. They support it. Her in the red and her in the green. They support it. And the dude all the way over who she's talking to, which happens to be, if I'm guessing, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing here. I'm pretty sure he's swinging on the other side.
Brad.
Yeah, look, Ned is right when he says that monkeypox right now is mostly affecting gay men. The problem is that public health-wise, not going to orgies in general is a good policy to not get sexually transmitted diseases.
100%.
And so
100%, yeah, I agree. Right, 100%. And that's what he was saying. But it's happening primarily where? In the homosexual community. That's all that they're saying. Stick with the truth here. That's it. Stick with the truth. Stick with the facts. Just because you don't like the facts where they are doesn't mean it's bigotry, doesn't mean that you're targeting a certain group of people. All you're doing is talking about the facts. When you don't like them, you don't get to change it.
So we have to be really careful. We saw with the AIDS crisis, with the HIV crisis, about how certain communities or certain gay people will be stigmatized over something that lots of people do. And we got to be careful about that.
And
they're talking about stigmatized, right? Don't put stigma on, a certain group of people. They don't want you to do that, right? But guess what? What are the facts in this? Where's it coming from? And again, I'm not saying there like, if you want to live a certain lifestyle, I'm not going to come to your door. Hey, you need to stop living the lifestyle. I'm not going to do it. You don't need me to do it. You already know when you're doing something right or wrong. Unless you've already been turned to a reprobate mind and you hate everything that I say, then if you understand the words coming out of my mouth right now, and you hate everything that I've been saying, it's a clear indication that you have been turned over to a reprobate mind, because you are going along with this world. You're going along with the demonic stuff of this planet, and you hate what I'm saying. See, I don't want to go along with all this. But listen to this.
I will use the term bigoted language that makes it seem like the only people that get this are from one group of Americans. Hey, guess what? Gay men also have friends and family members and colleagues. And this is not just transmitted through sexual activity. It's transmitted through close contact. So you don't fight diseases. I'm glad Brad brought up HIV/AIDS. You don't fight diseases by caricaturing the people who get them or who get them at one point in time.
This is the problem. You remember right after 9/11, and then 9/11, then they were making everyone go through the extra security check at the TSA, and then the shoe bomber. Then they had everyone take off the shoes, right? But what they've refused to do, the same thing here. They refuse to acknowledge the people who tried to take airplanes who took airplanes and flew them into buildings. They refuse to acknowledge the people that are strapping bombs to themselves and going into the supermarket. So then, instead of them just acknowledging who's actually doing it, they penalize everybody. So the same thing here. Instead of them actually admitting where this thing is happening the most in the sodomy community, they want to penalize everybody. It's the exact same thing. Just a different thing happening, but it's the exact same scenario. They penalize everybody for a certain group of people doing something. And I've mentioned it before. You don't see any Hispanics or Latinos strapping bombs to themselves and going out to the supermarket, do you? No, you don't. Not at all. You don't see people from South America doing it. No, you don't. You don't see people in America doing it. No, you don't. You don't see people in Europe doing it. There's a certain group of people that will strap these explosives to themselves. A certain group. But you can't acknowledge that. You can't acknowledge that. You have to penalize everybody. And that's exactly what they do. And that's exactly what they've been doing. Just like with this thing here. And I played this just the other day where they talk about, how this thing going around, the monkeypox are going around, and they don't want you to talk about that it's coming from a certain community. They want you to say it's coming out of all communities. Well, that's not all communities. Again, they don't want to acknowledge it. I played this one just the other day, and listen to this, because this is 2 cases of children. There's probably more than that now, but this is a case of 2 children end up with the monkeypox. And instead of them going out trying to find a place to arrest the pedophiles, because that's where it comes from. And listen, I want to play this one more time. And listen to when she gets to the point where she talked about it was the male homosexual community that did it to these 2 kids. Do you hear what I'm telling you? So, you can pretty much guarantee that it was 2 little boys that they did this to. And are they talking about arrest? Where's the arrest at?
We do have seen now 2 cases that have occurred in children.
Now watch when she get to the part when she talk about where they got it from, what community. Watch, because she's gonna be like, watch.
Both of those children are traced back to individuals who come from the men who have sex with men community, the gay men community. And so when we have seen those cases in children, they have generally been what I call adjacent to the community most at risk.
So is there an arrest coming now? Is there an investigation to find out who assaulted these children? Is anyone talking about that? I mean, come on. It's like they don't want to talk about what just happened to the child, because it's almost like they're in support of this happening to children. They're support of these grown men having access to children. They are, because that's why they have these Dragon Queen story reading time with the Dragon Queens. Dragon. Because they are the father, the great dragon. They're not drag, they're dragons. The Dragon Queens. No one's talking about any arrests. Has there been arrests? I mean, somebody, please, somebody somewhere. But no, it's just, it's just two boys. But and they didn't want to say it, 2 boys. I'm pretty sure it was a male community. 2 boys came up with the monkeypox. And you know how that happened. And one just hugging on them. They say, they have to be coming closer. Yeah, you have to be intimate. Intimate. Yeah, you don't have to have complete intercourse, but you have to be intimate. And there's other stuff that's going on. These people are sick. Listen to what Tucker Carlson says about the monkeypox. He's spot on. Because now apparently it's racist. It's racist to say monkeypox. And I'm like, what? What? And there's only one group of people that associate monkeys with black people. Do you know who that is? Leave me a comment. Tell me who that is. But listen to Tucker in the meantime.
That are descriptive or precise, of course, are horrifying to people who want to control your brain because they give you too much information about what things really are. As we said, we like monkeypox. It's a great name. But as long as they're going to change the...
And they're going to say Tucker is being racist because he likes the name. And Tucker, he'll do stuff like that on purpose because he knows that it's going to trigger the left. He does it all the time. You remember, just like Tucker was talking about the replacement theory, Tucker is only doing it to trigger them. And the next thing you know, their story is Tucker. And then what end up happening is that people that be like, listen, oh my goodness, he's racist, they end up go watching Tucker. Tucker is so smooth and so slick by it, the idiots on the left don't even realize that he's doing it. I mean, listen to him.
But as long as they're going to change the name, we should have some role in naming it. It shouldn't be left up to Tony Fauci and Deborah Birx. So what should we call it? Democracy Pox?
Democracy Pox.
Schlong COVID, our favorite. Tweet us your suggestions. We'll read.
Yeah, leave me a comment on your suggestions. You don't have to. You can't tweet me. You can't tweet me. I do have a different Twitter account, but they deleted my other one, and they won't even tell me why. Maybe because I'm not black enough. I don't know. At first it kind of like, somewhat bothered me. I'm like, oh, they boot me off of Twitter. And then I got over it. I mean, because really, Twitter has nothing but bots anyways. I'm like, what am I missing out on? I mean, seriously, I can go over to True Social. I'm on True Social, and I can say the truth and don't have to worry about it on True Social. I mean, I can get to the hardcore truth on True Social and don't have to worry about it. I'm wondering if the CDC has gone over to True Social to get them to censor certain information along with the World Health Organization, because that just came out that they were working with the big tech companies to censor stuff that they didn't want people to know about. They're not going to do it to True Social. Oh, no, because they get turned around. They get turned away. In other news, Nancy Pelosi is supposedly getting ready to go to Taiwan, right? She's supposed to go to Taiwan. And I'm like, really? And China is telling the Biden administration, do not let her go to Taiwan or else. I'm like, wow, really? And there's some Republicans saying that, Nancy, go, be strong. Be strong, Nancy. Don't back down. Go to Taiwan. Go, 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 go. But if China decides to do something and, if it involves some nuclear activity, then the rest of us, we're screwed for the most part. But the politicians and everything else, they got these safe havens that they can retreat to. The rest of us, we're done. Right. But the only reason why China is doing this is because China is telling the Biden administration that they control them. That's what it comes down to. And I'm just waiting, for them to release some information about Hunter Biden, because they have to have something. Why wouldn't they gather data on this idiot while they're there? They probably have some veilers, some cameras and stuff, because he was recording himself. China has something that they can hold over the Biden administration. That's why Hunter Biden is a national threat. Listen to this.
Well, playing with fire will set yourself on fire. That's a blunt warning from Chinese President Xi Jinping to President Biden over Taiwan, as the president offers assurances that Washington's one China policy stands. The two world leaders spoke for more than 2 hours over the phone today, following escalating rhetoric from the Communist Party over a possible visit to Taiwan from Speaker Pelosi, who has received a rare show of support from some Republicans who say she should not back down. Republican Congressman Michael McCaul was invited to join the speaker on that trip. He serves as the ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, always great to have you on. You have said that you believe you have other obligations and cannot join her on that trip. Would you go if you could?
I mean, sure. And I think, look, any member of Congress should be able to visit Taiwan to show our commitment to that tiny island that's being pressured by the Chinese Communist Party. And particularly the Speaker of the House, no matter who the Speaker is. Remember, Speaker Gingrich was the last one to go to Taiwan. And the fact that the President of the United States is trying to tell her or any other member to stand down when he's exhibiting so much weakness, as we saw, Trace, from that phone call that I just got briefed on. I got the notes from that call where Biden talks about, hey, let's work together and our interests. And she responds, those who play with fire will perish by it.
I mean, can y'all imagine if he would have said something like that to President Trump? And President Trump said, well, let's just find out then. So what is that? Is that an open threat? So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? So when Nancy Pelosi doesn't go to Taiwan, that only proves that China, the China regime, controls the U.S. federal government or controls the Biden administration. That's exactly what it means. You tell me, does it mean something else? Because if they listen to them and don't do what they're telling them not to do, what does it mean? What does it mean? Nancy Pelosi can go, oh, well, I changed my mind. Scheduling conflict, so I can't go to Taiwan now. Scheduling conflict, I can't go. When they're saying that she's saying that she was going to go, but now all of a sudden she can't go. So either way, they don't go, it shows that China's in control. If they do go, China's going to do something and take control because the Biden administration is totally weak, and they know they're weak. China knows that they're weak, or they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't have done this with President Trump, and you all know it. All of you trolls know it to be true.
Yeah, you talk about the phone call. We got the same notes, sir. It lasted 2 hours and 17 minutes. That's a long call. President Xi said that China will never leave space for Taiwan independence. President Biden says the U.S. also does not support Taiwan independence. China believes that is changing. They believe that whole policy is changing, and that could lead to really a tick up in the problems there.
Well, we do know that with Putin invading Ukraine, Xi wants to invade Taiwan. President Xi of China and President Putin had that unholy alliance at the Beijing Olympics, a compact against the West, and they want to redraw the maps after World War II. We know that Taiwan is in the bullseye of the CCP, and he's taken the Solomon Islands over, already. If we don't show strength right now, Trace, and deterrence, and in this case, any member of Congress would show political deterrence to stop an invasion of Taiwan, which, again, that island is strategically important for a lot of reasons, many of which they have 90% of the advanced semiconductor chip manufacturing capability. Can you imagine if China took that island over, controlling the global supply of semiconductors?
I mean, come on. And you can't make this stuff up. Nancy Pelosi's husband bought $5 million in a semiconductor chip company here that the Senate is getting ready to pass if they hadn't already passed it. And then she's getting ready to go over to Taiwan where they're making these semiconductor computer chips already. And if Taiwan takes it over, boom. Or if China takes it over. Taiwan already has it. If China takes it over, then guess what? They control all of it. They control all of it. And to my understanding, I saw a report back, this was a couple of years ago, that when China and Taiwan split off, per se, all the gold was in Taiwan. All of the gold was in Taiwan. So they want it all back. China wants it all back. And a lot of countries, they're leaving the currencies and they're going back to the gold standard and the silver. They've been accumulating a lot of it. A lot of it. All right, let me go ahead and start saying thank you to a few people before I bounce out of here. I know I normally take phone calls on Friday night, but I have to take care of something. But while my producer get that going, I want to share one last thing with you. It's like a 6.5 seconds video here, and this is what a whole bunch of people out here protesting against fossil fuels, right? All of the clothes that they have on their backs, the megaphones, all the plastics and everything that they have, all of that was created with fossil fuels. I mean, this is an epitome of stupidity, completely. And they just wanted all fossil fuels to stop just immediately, right? Just cripple the country, just cripple everything, like Mad Max days, to give them what they want.
No more fossil fuels. Engine deal is not enough. No more fossil fuels.
No more fossil fuels. I just had to play that one time because, so y'all can see it too. I had to watch it, so now you had to watch it. Okay, let me say thank you to a couple people here, and thank you for these blessings. All right, Kathy, thank you for the stars. Thank you so much, Kathy. Francis, thank you so much as well for the stars. Laura, thank you for the stars. And Nicole, thank you for the Cash App. Susie, thank you for the stars. Thank you so much, Susie. And then Marlene, thank you so much for the stars. Beverly, thank you for the UAF gear. Thank you so much. UniteAmericaFirst.com. Thank you so much for picking up some of the gear there. You probably like my shirt here, Mega King. I actually have one for the ladies, Mega Queen, because you are a beautiful queen. So pick you up one too, Mega Queen. Donna, thank you so much for the stars. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Beverly, thank you so much for the stars. Mildred, you are awesome. Mildred's been here for a minute. Thank you so much. Denise, thank you so much for the stars. And then Adam, thank you as well for the stars. Steve, thank you so much for the stars. And Michelle, thank you as well. Michelle's been there a while too. Thank you so much as well, Wanda. I really do appreciate it. Cheryl, thank you so much for the stars. Wow, you're pouring the love. How you say that? Emery, for the PayPal. Am I saying that right? Emery, thank you so much for the blessing. Then CDP for the Cash App. Haven't seen CDP in a minute. Thank you so much for the blessing. Thank you so much. And then, is that it? All right. I think that's it. You know what? Someone actually bought me a coffee. So if you go to my website, UniteAmericaFirst.com, you can see it there. And I think someone got me a coffee. And I just want to make sure I say thank you, because I'm very appreciative. Nope. Okay, no, same person. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for all the blessings. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Will Johnson. Don't forget, the website is UniteAmericaFirst.com, because that's what we need to do. We need to unite America first. Unite America first. Unite America first, because we're a divided country. We really are. Thank you, everybody. See you on the flip side. Reality check.